Assalamualaikum and a very good day to our viewers. My name is Rodina. Welcome to Admin 6 Education News. Today we will be presenting about comparative study of education policy in Japan and New Zealand. Please enjoy.
For our first segment, I will discuss the governance structure of education policy in Japan. Japan adopt a highly centralized education government system. The education system is mainly governed by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sport, Science and Technology, known as MAX. MAX is responsible for developing national education policies, setting curriculum standard, determining educational goals, and implementing major education reform throughout the country. This centralized structure ensures consistency in educational quality and policy implementation nationwide. One of the key advantages of this system is that students across Japan receive similar education opportunities and follow the same national standard regardless of their location. A good example is the Gmgak school program, which was introduced to provide every student with a digital device and improve infrastructure in school. Through MAX, centralized governance, this initiative was implemented systematically through the country. However, the centralized structure also presents challenges. Schools may have limited flexibility to adapt policies according to local educational needs and circumstances. In conclusion, Japan governance structure emphasizes strong government coordination, policy consistency, and nationwide educational standard. Thank you. I will now pass to the next presenter.
Before we go through, let me tell you guys the background of New Zealand. New Zealand is an island nation located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, consisting of two main islands, the North Island and the South Island. Its capital city is Wellington, while Auckland is the largest city. The country operates under a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary democracy. Economically, New Zealand is a developed, high-income country with a GDP of around 250 billion USD in 2024. Its economy is mainly driven by agriculture, tourism, industry, and services, and it's well known for producing dairy products, meats, and wool. In terms of education, New Zealand has a flexible and student-centered education system. Now we will continue by exploring about the education policy in these two countries, Japan and New Zealand.
I am Nur Elia Nadia, reporting live for our comparative public administration segment on Japan. First, let's look at the Japan's education policy orientation. Japan strictly uses a performance learning and centralized model. This means all educational standards and policy are fully controlled by the central government through the Ministry of Education. Why does Japan practice this? Under this policy, success is measured by high academic results, structured exam, and strict student discipline. The main goal of this administrative design is to create a highly competitive workforce to support Japan's global economic and technology sectors. A clear example of this standardized policy is the Gmgak school program. Through this national initiative, the government provides one digital device for every single student and updates school ICT infrastructure uniformly across the country. This direct control ensures that all students have the same standard of digital literacy. However, this rigid system has its own challenges. A heavy focus on exam creates extreme stress for students and causes a heavy workload for teachers. It also limits the flexibility of local schools to adapt to their community needs. In conclusion, Japan's policy successfully guarantees high academic uniformity, but it highlights a classic public administration trade-off between operational efficiency and flexibility.
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Today I will be presenting the education policy in New Zealand. The New Zealand education system is governed by the Education and Training Act 2020, which serves as the main legal framework for all educational institutions. This policy aims to provide equal access to quality education for all students while allowing schools to have flexibility in managing their core curriculum and teaching method. One of the main objectives of this policy is to create an inclusive learning environment where every student has the opportunity to succeed. The government also focuses on reducing additional inequalities and support minority students by incorporating indigenous culture and value into education. In addition, special support is provided for students with different learning needs. Furthermore, the Ministry of Education has introduced several initiatives to improve digital learning and promote student well-being. This effort helps students develop the knowledge and skill needed for future challenges. However, New Zealand still face several challenges such as difference in educational achievement among social groups, limited access to educational resources in rural areas, and issues related to student attendance and engagement. In conclusion, New Zealand education policy focuses on inclusive, equality and flexibility while continuously improving the quality of education for all learners. Thank you.
Now, let us take a closer look at digitalization in Japan's education policy. I am Amnisa Hira. In recent years, Japan has focused on improving digital learning, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, where many schools had to shift to online education. To support this transformation, the Japanese government introduced the Gmgak school programs. This initiative aims to provide one digital device for every student and improve internet access and technology facilities in school across the country. Through this program, schools in Japan are encouraged to integrate digital tools and ICT into teaching and learning process. Teachers now use tablets, online platform, and digital learning materials to make lessons more interactive and effective. The government believes that digital education can help students improve their technological skills and prepare them for future challenges in the modern world. In addition, Japan's education policy continues to emphasize academic excellence and disciplines while adapting to technological development. The use of technology is expected to create a more efficient and innovative learning environment for students and teachers. However, despite these improvements, Japan still faces several educational challenges. Many students experience high academic pressure and stress due to competitive examinations and strong expectations to achieve excellent academic results. During the early stage of digital implementations, some schools and teachers also face difficulties adapting to online learning systems and digital teaching methods. Overall, Japan continues to modernize its education system by integrating technology while maintaining its strong focus on educational quality, discipline, and academic achievement. Thank you, and back to the studio.
Thank you, Oni. Now we're moving to the next segment where we are doing a strict head-to-head comparison of how New Zealand and Japan run their education systems. We will look at three core differences: governance, policy goals, and digitalization. The first major contrast is in the governance. Japan operates a highly centralized system where the Ministry of Education (MEXT) dictates uniform national curriculum standards across the country to guarantee consistent educational quality. New Zealand conversely uses a decentralized model under the Education and Training Act 2020. Instead of rigid national mandates, individual school boards and local communities have the autonomy to adapt the curriculum to local needs. The second contrast is their core policy orientation. Japan's policy prioritizes high discipline, academic competitiveness, and exam performance. While this yields excellent academic results, it creates high stress for students and heavy workloads for teachers, whereby New Zealand's policy focuses strictly on inclusion, student well-being, and equity. Their main objective is closing the achievement gap for marginalized groups, specifically prioritizing Maori and Pacific Island students. Even in digitalization, their strategies diverge completely. Japan takes a highly tech-driven, economic approach through the Gmgak school program, ensuring every single student has a device to build a competitive workforce for the future digital era, while New Zealand also digitalizes but applies an equity lens, focusing their infrastructure investments heavily on bridging the digital divide for rural and disadvantaged students. In summary, neither system is flawless. Japan offers policy consistency and rapid technology rollout, while New Zealand excels in equity and community participation. The synergy of Japan's digital efficiency and New Zealand's social inclusivity represents the ideal balanced model for the future. That's all from comparison of how New Zealand and Japan run their education systems. Thank you.
In conclusion, these comparative studies show that education policies plays an important role in shaping educational outcomes. Both countries shows different approach to governance and policy implementation. Japan highly centralized system that emphasize standardization, academic excellence, and disciplines, while New Zealand adopts a more decentralized and flexible approach, focusing on inclusiveness, student well-being, and community participation in educational decision-making. However, both countries continue to face a few challenges. Japan struggles with demographic decline, teacher workload, and academic pressure, while New Zealand faces educational inequalities related to socio-economic and ethnic differences. Overall, combining the strength of both approaches could provide a more balanced and sustainable model for future education policies development. And that's all from us. Thank you.